through stuff. So I know page 1. After looking at the documents that we done 1 through 4 last time, have we now started to at least create a historically defensible thesis or claim? We started to claim that the Europeans have started to change their relationships with the colonies because of what? Over war. How did they feel? How did the colonies feel because of the war? They were being used. But has this been something that has been repetitious?
Yes.
Yes, they were being used in what era prior to this? Okay, so because of what they experienced in imperialism and industrialization of being used for their raw resources, and now this is a continuation of that idea that they're being used in World War I for their what? Their troops, okay? We're going to say troops versus bodies and people. They're being used for their troops. Now, during the war, how are they being treated? Poorly, but they have been told that they were going to be treated what? Equal. They were great. They wanted them to come over. And because of this disparity, that they were told that they were equal, but they're still feeling used, what is this going to cause in the colonies? What are they going to do? Rebel and declare independence. Do I now have a historically defensible thesis or claim that I establish a line of reasoning? Yes, that will be your thesis. Can each one of you at least put that in your own words now? What we've been saying all along with these documents.
Yes.
Let's look at the next one. Have we been able to describe the broader history?
We have.
Okay, imperialism, what is going on in the war and what's going after the war, right? Can we support an argument with a prompt using at least 6 documents? Y'all are looking at me. We've only done 4, but we're going to get to 7 today. Okay, so that means there's 1 document you don't have to what? Use. Okay, and we have to put it in our own words. We cannot quote. The moment you quote, you don't get credit. The next part, can we use an additional specific piece of historical evidence that is not found in the documents? You're not making up something. It is an actual piece of information in history. Can y'all be able to refer to something historically?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe like White Man's Burden, that poem by that guy. Remember that? Is that a specific piece of information that we could use?
It is.
Okay, next one. For at least 3 of the documents, explain why the document's point of view or purpose or historical situation and or audience is relevant. Can y'all do that?
Yes.
The reason why I keep on saying or, are you required to do all 4?
You only have to do one of the selected
One of them. But do you only want to do it 3 times?
No.
No, you want to make sure you cushion your paper just in case you get one wrong, that you have that. Let's look at this last part. Can we use evidence to corroborate?
We can.
Okay. Are a lot of these documents corroborating the same storyline? Okay, so Clyde, we were trying to corroborate a story about Drew. Wesley went and told me that he was in the counselor's office. Someone over here came and told me he was in the nurse's office. Someone over here said that he was at lunch.
That's me.
And so, did I have a lot of different stories?
Yes.
Yes. So could I corroborate one storyline? No. We just knew at this moment in this class that Drew was not here. We corroborated that. Okay, so in case Drew committed a crime, could we corroborate as a class that Drew was here? No. Did he even have an alibi that we could corroborate?
No.
But then eventually, Drew came to class. Okay, so now he's going against the storyline. Can we even corroborate a whole thing? Jacob's going to say Drew was here. And every one of us is going to say Drew wasn't here. Are we corroborating the same story? No. That's what corroboration is. When I looked at these documents, 1, 2, 3, and 4, are they corroborating the same storyline? Yes. Okay? Could we even corroborate a same storyline for Drew? No. Poor Drew. We're glad you're back with us. Now you're part of our video online. Okay?
Drew, nobody missed you.
Let's look at the next one. Qualify. Qualify means looking at things to say this fits this, and this, and this. Okay? Is there anything about the changes in relationship that leads to qualifications, that they had to meet this and this and this? Now, is this a qualitative argument? Is this a modified? That although they were using them in imperialism and in World War I, it really took World War I for them to see the light and for them to revolt. Could we modify?
We could. Modify.
We could, but what is the strongest one here?
Cooperation.
Cooperate. So let's look at the other documents to see if they corroborate the same storyline.
Okay.
Y'all get cooperate now?
I get cooperate.
Okay, let's go to document 5.
Document 5.
Scott, would you like to read?
Okay. All of it?
Yes, and it is a song, but please don't sing it, just...
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so the source is a popular Egyptian protest song sung during the Egyptian revolt of 1919 against the British occupation of Egypt. The revolt led to Great Britain's recognition of Egypt's nominal independence in 1922. Laborers and soldiers were forced to travel, leaving their land. They headed to the battlefields and the trenches. And now the British blame us for revolting? Behind the calamities you have caused, had it not been for our laborers, you and your troops would have been helpless in the desert sand. Oh, you who are in authority, why didn't you go all alone to the Dardanelles? Oh, Maxwell, now you feel the hardships. How does it feel? The Egyptian is resolute, and now he's willing and able and can do anything. His achievements are worthy of praise, and he will do his all to gain the Constitution. We are the sons of pharaohs, which no one can dispute.
Okay, so let's look at the first 3 lines. What is the Egyptian experiencing in that first 3 lines? Forced to go to war. Is this corroborating the same storyline? Okay, the next part. The next 3 lines. Apparently, where is this battle taking place?
In a desert.
In a desert? So is there deserts in Europe? No, so they're probably where?
Africa.
North Africa, or maybe even in the Middle East, right? Because we don't know where the Dardanelles is. If you don't know where it is, it's northwest Turkey. So are they in North Africa, or are they in the Middle East? They're being in the Middle East because who do you think they're fighting on behalf of the British in the Middle East? The Ottoman Empire. Okay, so do you think they probably know a lot about the area, the Egyptians? Yeah, they traded here. So they're saying, were they a valuable source? Okay, so we know the first half, they're fighting. We know that they're fighting in Turkey, right?
Yes.
They're helping the Europeans. Okay. The hardships. What would be the hardships of war?
Not being alive anymore.
Okay, not being alive, the toll that it takes on a soldier, but
The trauma.
let's think about this. They're talking about the British. The British are in this area. They're using them, but what do you think's happening to them? Are they being treated equally?
They're not.
So this is that hardship. How does it feel?
Not good.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, it says the Egyptian, he's resilient. He could do anything. So what is he trying to encourage people to do? Fight for what?
Revolt for the British.
A constitution. Would a constitution allow the British to do everything they want to do, or would it limit them? Okay, so now we just put that in our own words. Let's look at the historical situation. Why has Britain wanted the Egyptian area? There's a river.
Oil.
There's a river. Agriculture, what specific thing are they doing on this river that Britain would need for their factories? What type of factories do the British have? Textiles. So what is probably made on the river? Cotton. That's a historical situation. They make cotton and then they send it to Britain where the factories are, right? So we're not in the Bible. Okay. Okay, so what we're looking at, we know why they're here, but these people, they have come back from the war, and they're saying, we are willing to stay part of Britain, but what does Britain have to do? Give us what? A constitution which would at least limit their authority. Do you think the British want to do this? So let's look at this song. Who do you think the intended audience is? Are they singing, are they going to England and singing this song to the English? No, so this is a protest song. Where do you think they would be singing it? Where are they protesting? In Egypt, right? And they're probably singing amongst the protest. What is the purpose of this song? To get everybody on their side. Come over. Come and protest with us. The point of view. Is it talking about this war was a great equalizer for them? No.
Wait,
What is this?
Was this not due? Because was I not supposed to do that?
We'll check our answers with yours. Okay, so his point of view. How does it look at the British? What was there change in their relationships? No, because they still feel what? Used, and so they feel that the British have been ungrateful to them. And what do they want to do because of the war? Do they want to stay a part of Britain? No, and they said if we do, we want a limitation of their power. Is this a social document? Right? Is this political?
Yes.
Yes, because they're demanding that the British government's power be limited in Egypt. Is this an interaction between humans? Yes, it's the interaction of the war that is going to cause this change. Is this cultural? No. Is this economic?
Yeah.
Well, so you lost your phone. Be considered.
Okay. Is this economic? When we talk about imperialism, yes, but is this economic? No. Let's look at our next document. You want to read still, Scott?
I would love to. Okay, so the source is Hubert Reed, or Reid. He's a Jamaican veteran of a West Indian Red Regiment in the British Army and leader of a labor union formed to defend the rights of Jamaican war veterans, petitioned to the British colonial government in 1935. It has taken 17 years of countless petitions, marching through the streets of Kingston, as well as agitations before we were given worthless lands in some of the most remote parts of the island without even a well-needed £5 bill to assist us in making a shabby shelter, much less in trying to cultivate the place for an existence. In some cases, not even wild birds would care to inhabit the worthless lands that we were given. Not even an inch is suitable for cultivation, and as far as roads are concerned, the inaccessibility of the places renders that impossible.
Okay, so who is this guy?
He is a veteran.
He's a veteran, and so that means he was involved in the war. And what do you think these veterans were given that they're complaining about?
Land that wasn't suitable.
Okay, they've been given land, and it's unsuitable, right?
Yes.
So what does it mean to petition?
Which request?
Request, write letters, right? And you think they're writing letters to the British, right?
Yes.
Because that's who gave him the land. Where did this guy fight? He's in Jamaica, but where did he fight? In West India. Okay? He's fighting in India. And now the British have promised him land. He has come home. He has land.
What?
Is he happy?
No.
No, because he feels that the British, they said if you come to fight for the war, maybe they made them this promise about getting land, but have they given him something that's special? No, it's lackluster. So, what is his point of view of this war? Is this war changing his relationship? What is his point of view of the British? Why is it bad?
Because they kind of abused him.
They abused him. They used him for his capabilities as a troop. They made him some promises, but did they really fulfill it? No. Hey, is this corroborating that storyline with every other one that we've seen?
It's kind of like at McDonald's whenever you look at the picture and it's like this beautiful holy burger, and then when you order it, it's just slumped together and it's all greasy.
That's how his land feels.
Exactly.
Even birds won't inhabit it. Okay. What is his purpose? He's signing a petition. What is he trying to get other people to do, probably?
To
Do the same thing, sign this petition to protest who? The British. Who do you think his audience is? I know it says a petition to the British colonial government, but if the document gives it to you, is that outside information? If the document gives it to you, is that outside information? No, it's within the document. Who else do you think would probably have read this?
The public?
Is it all the public? Who would this interest, this whole petition? Veterans. So maybe other veterans to read this and to maybe sign that petition? Okay, we know Jamaica is a colony of the British. They make sugar here. right? But why would they be going to India? Why would this guy from Jamaica be going to India? Was
They control India.
Britain also controls India, was very fearful of losing India because India is valuable because what do they make in India? Opium and cotton, spices, yes. Okay. So do we have some situation? Along with some numbers, Parker. All right, let's go to the last document.
Or did we go to the categories?
Oh yeah, we didn't do categories. Is this social?
Yes.
Is this political?
Yes.
Yes. Is this interaction of humans?
Yes, because humans are interactive.
Is this cultural?
It is.
No. Is it economic? Right. What is stronger, social, political, or interaction of humans in this document? Social. Political, that petition, right? Riling up other people. Right, let's look at our last document, document 7. Let me move my thing to get to document 7. Do you want to read, Scott?
I'd be delighted to read.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the source is Nard Diouf, or Diouf. He is an African veteran of a West African regiment in the French Army, and this is an interview for an oral history project in 1982. My experience in the war gave me many lasting things. I demonstrated my dignity and courage, and I won the respect of my people and the French colonial government. In the years immediately after the war, whenever the people of my village had something to contest with the French, and they didn't dare do it themselves because they were afraid, I would go and take care of it for them. And many times when people had problems with the government, I would go with my war decorations and arrange the situation for them. Because whenever the French saw your decorations, they knew that they are dealing with a very important person. So I gained this ability to obtain justice over the Europeans from the war.
Okay, we're going to stop right there, and then we'll read the second part. So, I want you to think about his tone. Is his tone the same as the tone that we've seen in every other document?
No.
No. He's saying the war, we saw every other one was saying before, was the war positive or negative?
Negative.
And now what is he saying the war for him was?
The war helped him.
The war helped
It gave
him.
him recognition and authorization.
Okay, it gave him recognition within his community, right? And then even when his community members needed help, they would go to him, and he would act as an intermediary to negotiate with the colonial power. So, does this corroborate the same storyline?
No.
No. This guy, his point of view, what is his point of view?
He is
Is it positive or negative?
positive.
Positive. The war changed his relationship with this government because now he became more important, right?
Right.
To his community to negotiate. And did the colonizer owe him?
Yes.
Yes, the colonizer did owe him. So did he have some power?
Yes.
Okay. So we got that first part. Do we get the point of view here? All right, let's go to the next paragraph.
For example, one day a French military doctor was in our village and there was a small boy who was blind. The boy was walking, but he couldn't see and he bumped into the Frenchman. And the Frenchman turned around and pushed the boy down on the ground. And when I saw this, I came and said to the Frenchman, "Why did you push the boy? Can't you see that he is blind?" And he looked at me and said, "Oh, pardon. I did not know. I will never do it again. Excuse me." But before the war, it would have not been possible for me to interact like that with a European, no matter what he had done.
Okay, so he's giving an example, right, of exactly what he said in the first part. He has been elevated in stature because of his service, right? That's what the little example here gave us, right? Just exactly what it was in the first paragraph. So, do we know who the intended audience is? If we look at the document, it says an interview for an oral history project. Society at large, maybe it's probably for this interviewee, but not necessarily on every single one will you have one, because if you just put society for every single one, do you think you're going to get credit?
You won't get credit.
You need to be direct. So this one, it is very broad, but we're not going to address an audience, because sometimes you will not have a direct audience. What is his purpose?
Show them not only is the negative, the war is also
He shows the positive to the war. Even though they still remain part of the colonies, it was a positive gain for himself, right? For those who were veterans, Will the veterans be respected?
Yes.
Yes, and that's one of the things that will come out of this war, the respect for the veterans. Historical situation. He is in Africa.
Post-World War II.
Okay. What has happened to this area? If I want to look at the situation, they have been taken over because of what? The scramble for Africa, right? Berlin Conference. And is this area still under foreign control? This is 1982. He was saying at this time, yes, they were. So we could even see, did all colonies really change? Did they really change? No, some will still stay part of what? The European continent, right? The European colonies in Africa. Okay, how do we feel about the documents? Looking at this, have we now made a historically defensible thesis or claim? Yes. Okay, can we put the documents in our own words? Can we come up with the analysis, the HIP, the historical situation, intended audience, point of view, purpose? So what we're going to talk about is we've been doing these steps all last semester. And now we're going to look at is how do we put it into an actual paper. And I'm going to give you an outline. I'm going to tell you that doing this outline will behoove you. It will help you because when you do write on Friday, you would have at least had a game plan. So on Friday, what will be turned in is this plus your documents. And if I get both of those, there will be something in the near future that you will like.
Can we get a card?
Okay, so I know y'all have learned how to write in English, but there's certain things the way you should write in a history course, which you will eventually see when you get to college. But for those of us who are writing for AP, there's a certain thing we're going to look at how things will look. For some of us who are not taking the AP test, you think that does this not apply to you? Yes, it does, because guess what? You're not going to get the AP credit. This is how you're going to have to write in college in a history course. Okay? You have to have at least 12 hours of history. Okay? So you'll have to have 6 hours of US. You'll have to have an elective government econ, and yeah. So it's about almost 15 hours in your basics. So those of you who are not taking the AP test, this is how you're going to have to write because they will not have multiple guests in college. Alright, so what we're going to look at is you will do this outline. You're going to use your documents and your knowledge to construct this response, and this is just us getting ready for this writing piece that we will see on Friday. So our thesis, I want you to practice right here. We need to respond to the prompt with a historically defensible claim. Could I say, is this defensible? That the First World War is going to change the relationships between Europeans and the colonized people, period. Have I told myself the extent? Have I said to what extent? So would I get credit for that? That the First World War changed the experiences between the Europeans and the colonized people? No, that's not a thesis. Okay? So if I were to go back, I need to explain what in my thesis? Why exactly their what has changed? Relationships. So prior to this time period, it was what? Imperialism. During the imperialism time period, the Europeans used their colonies for what? Raw materials. And with the outbreak of World War I, the Europeans will use their colonies for troops. And it is this relationships that will lead to them coming together. And actually ideas of social Darwinism and white man's burden hitting the fan, right? They're going to realize these relationships, that these relationships between the Europeans and the colonized people will what? Are they going to get stronger or are they going to break apart? Are they going to come together and say, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever? No, it is them expressing these ideas that is going to cause the colonies to change their relationships with the British, the French, right? And ask for what by the end of the war? They're going to want what? freedom. They're going to want independence. They're going to want more constitutional rights. Now have I explained how it has changed. Even though I said in the beginning, they were being used, they were being used, they were being used. But the moment they found out that they were being used and debased, and that the Europeans still felt that the colonies were what? Lower. They were just raw materials. They were lesser people. Did that influence these people to revolt? Okay, so now, is this thesis? It must take a position. Have I taken a position? Okay, let's look at this next one. And you're going to practice writing your thesis here. Okay, the next one is contextualization. And this will be interwoven in your essay. An ideal place for contextualization is in your opening paragraph, but it's going to happen throughout. What contextualization is describing the broader historical context relevant to the prompt. Is imperialism important to understanding how they were able to get the troops there? Okay? Is understanding that the war was fought on multiple fronts? Right? And then, because it talks about developments or process before. What did we say was before this time period? Imperialism, and what's the other I? Industrialization. During the war, we could talk about the multiple fronts. And then what did we said after this time frame? What is going to happen after this time frame? The revolts, the rebellion, them wanting to be independent. Okay? Do we get contextualization? It could be here, but couldn't you could have it throughout your paper. So let's look at our body paragraphs. We're only doing 2. I'm not asking for a conclusion because we're getting how to write. The first body paragraph, you must have a topic sentence. It should restate your thesis along with your category. Let's look at my categories. What were my strongest categories that I kept on seeing as we did the documents? Okay, social, political, and interaction. So if I were to talk about the interactions between these groups of people, would that be a strong paragraph? Can I go through some of my documents and be like, oh, that's an interaction between humans? Remember that one with the Indian and he was on the truck and no one wanted to what? Be around him. Did that reinforce this interaction and that social idea of social Darwinism and white man's burden? Could I find another document that may have that interaction? So what I want you to do in this portion is figure out your documents you're going to use. You may want to highlight on your documents what you may want to use. Right here, if I want to create a topic sentence, because this is good writing, it is evident that the Europeans and the colonized people are going to have a change in their relationships because of their interaction of troops during the war. Have I given you my topic sentence with a category and restated my thesis? Okay, so you will want to go through your documents. And I know a lot of you may not want to write all that stuff here, but you may want to highlight in your documents what you want to use, what hip stuff you're going to use, and just put a game plan here. On the back side, what do you think is going to be our next strongest paragraph? Economic, cultural, political, or social? Political, right? Because some of our social and cultural stuff go in with interaction, right? So political, what are they all demanding by the end? Independence. What was the one document politically that did not fit, that was the opposite, that did not corroborate the same story? Okay. The last one about that guy having more political clout. So then you are going to create a game plan. The last 2 things on here are the last 2 points. Evidence beyond the documents. The first one says to gain an extra point, a student must present at least one additional piece of specific evidence beyond those found in the documents relevant to the argument. Citing social Darwinism, or maybe Herbert Spencer's White Man's Burden, or the White Man's Burden poem. Does that kind of perpetuate how they interact with each other in World War I? Okay, so you could probably create a little list of stuff here so you can make sure you mention. Complexity. This is the point that we talked about at the beginning. It says to gain this point, the essay must demonstrate a complex understanding of the historical development that is the focus on the prompt. Use evidence to corroborate. Okay, I know my documents corroborate, right? But now I have to bring up what? Is it just my documents I have to bring up here? I have to bring up the historical stuff to make this complex document. So if you just refer to the documents and you say, look, this is the same storyline, but never mention the historical information, do you get this point? No, this is a hard point. Okay? Are we gonna have much qualifying here? Can we modify? A little bit, but what is the strongest of them? Cooperate, but is it only using the documents? Alright, so what you're gonna do, I know we have like 4 minutes before the bell rings. This is your homework to get ready. You will get a whole new set of documents because you cannot use the documents you have. Because again, I've done a lot of favors for you because on the AP test, you would get those and read them and do it on your own. But I have walked you step by step through these documents that I just want you for homework to figure out your game plan because when you come in the day to write, you're not using your notes. Okay? But from what we've done in class, do you have a lot of information that was previously not in your head before this? Okay? Is there any questions about this outline? Yes?
Are we allowed to look at an outline or is it?
No, no outline. You'll get an outline like this again, a brand new one, but you're not allowed to use your outline. That's why I'm saying get a game plan, because the more you look at your game plan, the better you'll be prepared. Because on the AP test, you have an hour, 15 minutes to read, 45 minutes to write. So if you don't have a game plan, you're gonna be like out of luck, because you're gonna be looking at the documents, not knowing where to go. And so that's why I said get better prepared.